How are you guys doing today? Today, I want to talk about something that I'm not proud of. Come a little closer. Today, I want to talk about my big mistake that I made with my American Express Business Platinum card. So stay tuned. My name is Jay, and welcome to Ask a Debt Collector, a subsidiary of Clear and Strategic. Now, I've been in the debt collection industry for over 15 years. I've done it all, from management to owning 2 debt collection companies. Over the last 10 years, I've been the go-to guy for friends and family for questions regarding debt and credit. Now I want to be that person for you. If you have any questions, put them down in the comment section. I promise I'll answer those questions. Let's go. I want to give a big shout out and a thank you. I have so much gratitude to each and every one of you guys who have liked, subscribed, and shared any of these YouTube videos. Thanks to you guys, I have now partnered with YouTube. And so now the journey just beguns. So thank every single one of you guys who have done that. If you're brand new to this channel, you want to learn about credit and debt, subscribe. On my YouTube channel, I want to ultimately not only talk about the great stuff, which is what everyone does across YouTube, across all social media platforms. I want to give you some of the mistakes that I made as well, right? I want to give it to you in real time, the mistakes that I made and what I've learned from that, so that way you can avoid those same mistakes. Ultimately, the Amex American Express Platinum credit card for me was mainly a flex. I'm going to just be honest with you, right? I cleaned up my credit, and so now, I remember there was a time I had about 4 or 5 credit cards, and I'm getting approved for every single credit card that I apply for because my credit history, everything looks great. And so I remember before getting the American Express Platinum card, so I have the personal and the business one, but before even getting them, I remember being in a car with my brother-in-law. Now, he's a person whose credit's really good. He's a corporate guy, makes really good money. And, he had the American Amex Platinum card as well as the Chase Sapphire card. And in the world of credit cards, for the most part, those are the 2 top tier credit cards, right? You have to have really good credit in order to get approved for these credit cards. And for the American Express Platinum one, it didn't have a limit. So I thought at the time, but it didn't have a limit. So I wanted to get those credit cards. I wanted to flex. I wanted to be, have one of those credit cards and feel a little better, right? To me, it was almost like a reward. But outside of just applying for credit cards, which is cool, you got to have a plan with regards to what it is you're doing. So today I'm going to explain 2 huge mistakes that I made when applying for this American Express business credit card. The first mistake that I made is I had no plan on how to spend the $15,000. Now, I know you guys may be looking at me and saying, $15,000? I thought you were talking about the American Express Platinum card. Where's the $15,000 come in? Well, when I received a notice in the mail from American Express on the business side, they had a promotional offer. You got 150,000 points. So ultimately, out of all the points I've ever had with any credit card, I've never had an introductory rate where they're offering 150,000 points. But one of the things I didn't look at initially, but I did before obviously applying, was it stated that you have to spend $15,000 in 3 months in order to get the 150,000 points. That's $5,000 a month. And for the average person to spend $5,000 a month can be very difficult and tough. But ultimately, I had to spend $15,000 in 5 months in order to get this 150,000 points. That was the big mistake that I made. I did not plan the $15,000. And that's why I always state it's so important to budget, right? Because if I would have budgeted, I would have known with regards to my business. Now, understand something. Me and my wife, we go over finances and all the time on the personal side. In this business, when I first started Clear and Strategic Credit Restoration Services, it started out as a hobby on YouTube, and then eventually I started getting clients, and I never expected it to grow as it's grown. Obviously, I want it to be a lot bigger, but I didn't have a budget. So I obviously paid my bills on time with regards to that. But one of the things that I understand now is if I would have budgeted, I would have understood how much I'm paying in bills each month for the company. And I could have made a strategic plan on how to spend that $5,000 in the next 3 months. All I knew in my head was I said, you know what? I'll be able to spend that $15,000 in 3 months. It's the only plan that I made. And the thought process was, I had a few other things that I was going to pay for, things like advertising and so forth with regards to the business. So I figured, you know what? I'll be able to spend 15 grand. Because up until that point, when I got this credit card, with any other credit card on the personal side or the business side, whenever they had a promotional deal, for the most part, I could make it. Most of them you spend, it's like spend $600 in the first month, or spend, I think the next biggest one I had was $3,000 in 3 months. That's $1,000 a month. I can definitely do that. But when the 15 grand, to be honest with you, I bit off a little more than I can chew, and I did not plan for that 15 grand and how I was going to do it. And one of the main ways that I explained to everybody, clients and people that I know, and then those of you who follow me on YouTube and subscribe and watch my videos, budget. $15,000, that's $5,000 a month. If you have your budget, then you'll know exactly what you need to spend. As the time was progressing with regards to the card and wanting to just flex and not making a plan, I remember after that second month was almost over, and I'm going into the third month with regards to the timing. One of the things is I was about $7,000 short of making the $150,000 bonus for the credit card that I was going to get the credit card for, right? And so I thought, how am I going to spend $7,000? I don't necessarily need anything else for the business. What am I going to do in order to get that $7,000 spent so that I can hit the $15,000 threshold within the time spent? And then I said, when is the actual date that I have to spend it? Because now I'm towards the end, and now I'm like, okay, now I got to figure out a way or a strategy to spend the $7,000 so that way I can get the 150,000 points. And one of the things that I didn't realize, which is very true for everybody, is when they give you a time frame to spend a certain amount of money within a certain amount of time, the clock starts when? Not when you get that credit card in the mail, when you're approved for the credit card. So write that date down. I wish I would have done that, because later you're going to find out what happened with regards to that. And so ultimately I thought, you know what? I saw a video on hacking and how, you can take money off of your credit card. And so I paid my wife, and come to find out, the $5,000 that I transferred to my wife with regards to paying some bills or whatnot off of the credit card. So I bought it off. So I ended up paying actually more than the $5,000. I transferred her $5,000 to make the $7,000. I think I was like, for whatever reason, I needed about another $5,000. That's all I can remember now. And so I transferred my wife through PayPal. I set up my business account through that PayPal, and I transferred her the $5,000. And on top of the $5,000, I had to pay the fee. I think it was probably $500 to send that money. But I figured, you know what? It'll all work out. I just wanted the 150,000 point. Come to find out, that $5,000 didn't count towards the $15,000. I noticed when I sent it, and I did whatever I did with regards to the money. And that $5,000 I sent my wife, she paid. It was used for something. So, I wasn't like I was just going to send it to her and then get the money back. But because I sent it through PayPal, I used it as a transaction through there. It didn't count towards the $15,000 that I needed to spend, and that's 3-month time span. And if I would have planned and read and understood everything with regards to the credit card, I wouldn't have lost out on that. If you're brand new to this channel, please take the time to like and subscribe. Share with your friends and family. This helps with the algorithm so that this video can get out to more people so they don't make the same mistake I made. And this goes with personal and business credit. The second big mistake that I made was no plan to pay back the $15,000, right? So I was so caught up in the flex of the credit card that I didn't make a plan on how to spend the $15K, which I ended up losing out, but I spent $15K on that credit card, and I didn't have a way to pay it back. I didn't have no plan on how to pay back the $15,000. My big motto that I always state on my channel, and I did not listen to it this time around, was use your credit cards like debit cards. Only spend what you have in the bank. And that goes for business side of things. And that's probably why I didn't think of it that way. But that goes on the business side of things as well. If I would have budgeted, like I talked to you guys about before, I would have known exactly how much money I spend each month through my business account, right? And now I could have looked at all those bills and figured out the bills that I can actually charge on the credit card. Why? Because I know each month I'm going to have to pay those bills back. So I have it in the bank. And I could have budgeted whatever those bills are each month and then figured out what I needed to do as far as hitting the threshold so that I can hit $5,000 each month minus the bills, right? And that is so key. Use your credit cards like debit cards, only spend what you have in the bank. With my Chase preferred credit card that I have a video on when I talk about the 80,000 points, I already had that plan. I had the plan on what I was going to spend it on and how I was going to pay it back. If those numbers do not make sense, then it doesn't make sense to get the credit card. I don't care how much of a flex or how cool the credit card looks or whatever the circumstance is. You have to understand how you're going to spend it so you can get whatever the promotional offer is, and then how you're going to pay it back so that way you're not left with a big balance. Ultimately, I knew in the back of my head that that credit card wasn't a good idea to get, but the 150,000 points, I had FOMO all over me. Fear of missing out. I didn't want to miss out. And I wanted to have two of those American Express Platinum credit cards, a business and a personal one. And I just didn't plan it out and do the things that I needed to do. And another thing with this credit card, not only was it the 15,000 you spend and you get the 150,000 points in that 3-month time span, you got a year, it was about a year and a half, a little less than a year and a half of interest free on that credit card. So for those of you who would have applied for this credit card and done the stuff that you're supposed to do, let's say your bills didn't necessarily come out to that. If you make the strategy on the second part, which is how you're going to pay it back, and you had that time span of no interest within that year and a half time span, maybe you would have spent and paid back 10,000, you have 5,000 left over, and you paid that back, and you made a plan on paying that back within that allotted time span, so you have 0% interest, and you don't pay anything. I didn't even think of that, right? And I knew it, but I was just so caught up on the credit card and the look and so forth, and not thinking it out and planning out what the strategy was with regards to paying back that $15,000. It's very, very key, whether you're on the business side of things or the personal side of things. When you apply for credit cards and they have promotional options, whether it's just 0% interest or you got to spend a certain amount of money to get some points on the credit card, before you actually apply for the credit card and get approved for the credit card, you need to make that plan. You need to make a plan on how you're going to spend the money in order to hit whatever that threshold is, and you need to make a plan on how you're going to pay it back. And it's very key to understand the numbers. The numbers will always tell you whether you can do it or not. And by pre-planning, and it's something I wish I would have done in the beginning, I would have known that that American Express Platinum business card didn't make any sense with regards to getting it. Because not only did I not get the 150,000 points, I paid the $695 annual fee on the card, which is something you have to do right off the bat. That's what they put on the credit card as a limit. And I ended up having to pay it 2 times because I didn't plan it out. So that 150,000 points in my head was, okay, well, that'll pay the $650 and put some money in my pocket, and I get the flex of the credit card and all the things that go with it. And guess what? I got those credit cards during the pandemic. So no one's traveling. So it made no sense to actually have the card for the most part, because you get a lot of perks. The airline, you get to go inside of the airline. I've had both of those credit cards and I've never even used them. I've never bought flights. I've never went to the lounges that they give you with regards to the credit card. So in my case, that was a huge mistake. I don't want you guys to make that same mistake, but it's very important to plan that stuff, because what may seem like a great idea for getting a brand new credit card, whether you're just now establishing credit and you're getting your credit set up and so forth, it's very key to understand those numbers, because a credit card, I don't care how good it looks, if it doesn't work for what it is that you're spending, how you're budgeting, and how you're living your life, it doesn't make sense to get the credit card. When credit card offers come in the mail, look at them. See which ones you can actually use. And if you find a credit card that's going to work and it makes sense, the numbers make sense for you, apply and get approved for the credit card. If the numbers don't make sense for you, I don't care how cool the credit card is or what it may bring and the mystique it may bring about, don't apply for it, because you'll end up shooting yourself in the foot. If you have any questions, put them down in the comment section. I promise I'll answer those questions. And like I always state, you be great.